Hi guys, Scott Game Productions here, and I am back with my second episode of how to make a one-channel personalization background and logo. Good thing I'm not putting that as a title. Right, so last episode what we did was this. If you want to go back and look how I did this, click up here and you will see how I did it. Right, so basically today what we're going to do is we're going to sort of split this into two halves. So this half is like a 2D episode. So this is like colouring and etc. The second half is a 3D episode. This is why it's probably like twice as long. So to start off, what you want to do, if this is a 2D, so this is all 2D now. So you 3Ders, you can scarper if you want. Right. So all you 2Ders, this is probably what I'm best at. So you're in for a treat. So right, what you want to do first of all is now that you've got your text and you're happy with it, you want to, what do you want to do? Right, I'll tell you what you want to do. You want to convert it to smart object. So then it's one object that is smart, as it probably tells you. So you can move it about and it's all nice and transparent and lovely. Right, so I recommend also rasterizing it because that just makes it a lot better. And a lot more easier for me and you. Right, so basically what you want to do is if you want to make it really seamless and look really nice and professional, this is right. This is what you want to do. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to double click and it'll bring up the Slayer style. You can also go right click and blending options, which is essentially the same. Well, it is the same thing, it's just different ways of getting to it. Right, so as you can see, if I click bevel and emboss, it sort of puts like a nice bevel and an emboss on it. Contour is a type of bevel and emboss. Stroke gives it like an outsider, so if I change that to like green, blue even, does that. Inner shadow, this is what you want to do if it goes inside it, but it doesn't really work with black. Inner glare does exactly what it says. Satin, well, if it was colour, it'll be, alright, what I'll do is I'll put a colour overlay on it. Guys, a massive tip, if you want to do a colour overlay, you're going to have to rasterize it again. So say I want to make it, right, I won't do red, because I always do red. I'll do like this bluey, yeah, that's a bit dark, right, so yeah, that's quite nice. Right, so if you change it to a blue, and you can see colour overlay, if you play about with it like this, it doesn't, well, it messes up some of the other things, so you just want to play it safe and convert it to smart object. Or what you can do is if you press Ctrl J, it copies it, and you can get rid of that one, just in case you want to keep it all, if you want to change your mind or anything. So you want it to convert to smart object, and then rasterize layer. So now you've got the same thing, but it's there. So you now have black. Oh yeah, sorry. So you now have the blue one and the blue one. Right, so let's show you what a satin does. So this is what a satin does. It gives us sort of like a differential idea to it. So if you want to up your distance, and then you can play about your size a bit. So this is what it looks like without size. That's what it looks like with. So it sort of gives sort of like a light abstract type thing. And if you want to invert, that also looks quite good. If you don't invert, I would recommend bringing down the opacity because it sort of plays with it. So that's what you actually are doing to it. So if I turn off the invert and leave it about 50%, that looks pretty good because you sort of have some like bars down it. Right. So I also recommend doing a drop shadow, so that looks nice and fusion. And possibly an outer glow if you are doing a background. So I would do like quite a light outer glow, and then put the spread up quite a bit, and size, boom it right up. So, and then what you want to do is you want to drop the opacity, so you can't really see that much. So that's basically what I do. It makes it look twice as good as it did before. If you want to put an outline on it, what I recommend doing is taking off the outer glow and the drop shadow, so you just have the text on it certain. And then what you want to do is you want to Control J, so you have it all again. You can up that back again, and get rid of it. And then what you want to do is you want to do the Control and click that I showed you earlier. If you didn't, make sure you click up here, and then it'll take you back to how you do it. And then you want to select and modify and expand. So let's say, no, actually, let's say about 5. So it gets like a nice little board around it, and it's all perfectly equal. It's better than just enlarging it, because it'll mess all your, it'll just mess everything up. Trust me, you're just gonna have to trust me. So then what you want to do is you want to make a new layer, and then you want to colour it in with the colour of your choice. So I recommend using the paint bucket, or the brush. Right, so let's go for quite a nice yellow. Actually, we'll go for a bit more of an orangey yellow. So about there, more Hull City style. And then you just want to colour it all in, just like this. Making sure that you have your opacity on 100 and your hardness on 100 as well. Then you want to do is you want to move it down, and then you can see there's like a nice little yellow border. Yellow, I'm sorry. Right. So what you want to do is you want to delete your other one and go back to this. So now if you look, I have still have the outer glow and the drop shadow, which doesn't work that much unless you want to have sort of like a background, which it does work pretty well. Right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to play about with the background. So what you want to do with this background is basically what you want to do is you want to put a gradient overlay over it. And then what you want to do, I said a lot, don't I? Yes, I do. Then you want to go reflected, so it sort of has this like metal texture to it. And then you want to go to your gradient, and then click this, and have the gradient as a black. Or a nice dark grey. No, I think black's probably best. And then you have one of this side as a light grey. Like that. Oh dear. Yeah, I think, yeah, a very slight light grey. And then what you want to do is you want to go up here and make sure that your opacity is like 3. Or something really low. So then what you want to do is when you drop your opacity, it sort of gives some sort of like a metal texture to it. So what you want to do is to give this sort of like an extra effect, you want to go to inner glow, and then you want to turn your blending mode to normal. Because then what it'll do is when you go to black, it'll give you sort of like a black texture to it. So you want to go like sort of halfway, so you can sort of see like a very slight emboss there, and you can bring it up or equal to. So now it sort of gives like a metal texture, and then when it goes to here it looks quite normal. You can also put a very slight bevel and emboss, so you want to drop your size to say like 2 pixels, so you can sort of see a slight like background to it. If I put like 0, you can sort of tell. So if I put like 2 and then put this over it, you can sort of see that it's got like a indent phase to it. So what you can do is if you want to play about with this text, you can convert it to a smart object and then rasterize it. And then what you can do is you can put inner shadow. So now what it looks like is it looks like you've got all this, it looks basically like an indent into it. I don't know what I've done there, but it looks like an indent into the text, which looks pretty cool. And then you could have like a white background or like a yellow background that fits this. So if I get rid of it, that looks quite good on its own, doesn't it? And so does that. So combining the two ideas makes it fit perfectly. And then what you want to do is once you've finished with it and happy with it all, you want to convert it all to a smart object, all to rasterize, and then you want to do what I call the finishing touches, and what most people call it. So you want drop shadow of the full thing, so that's just the outside of the full thing, and then you want to put a small outer glow of your least colour, or the outside colour, dependent on how you, well basically what you can do is you can just play about with it. So you want to up your spread, and then up your size, to like boom, and then you can drop your opacity a bit. So you sort of get a nice little hint of it with a drop shadow. So if I were to put a nice little background on this, so let's just say I did, whatever this colour is. So yeah, you can sort of see the idea of it. Black's probably better, so just let me do a black. and then you can sort of see the idea of it and how everything combines. And if you want to up your outer glare, you can do. And boom! Or you can play it with a nice light blue, which complements the yellow. And if I would drop it down a bit, about there, so it gives it nicer, like a nice one. You can also use white, sort of like a grey colour, or a completely different colour. So red. Red sort of works. You want to go with colours that sort of match it. So maybe like purple. No, pink. Well, if you had pink would be quite good. So there you go, guys. This is your 2D version of it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to your 3D, guys. So your 3D, guys, this is your time to shine. So basically what we did in our 2D thing is we just did this. Nice, professional looking thing that complements nearly everything. Don't look so good with the black background, but you'd sort of have a gradient that fits in with it. So, what we're going to do is this is what we had before. And I'm going to show you how to make this look extra special and put it into Cinema 4D. Right, so most people will just show you that to press Control, click, and then go to File, Export, Pass to Illustrator, which no one wants to do because it's terrible. It gives no idea of anything at all, and it looks really pathetic. You can see all the lines, it's all jumpy. So what you want to do is you want to get your handy pen tool, and what you want to do is you want to go and outline it all. So say if I start with this T and then go here. So now what you want to do is you want to go to paths, and you've noticed that it's done it all. So now what you want to do is you want to go to File, Export, Pass to Illustrator, Work Path. Make sure it's not on Document Bounds. Work Path you want. So then what you want to do is you can call it Text 1. That's what I'm going to call it. Call it whatever you want to call it. So now what you want to do is you want to head into Cinema 4D. Right, so now we're in Cinema 4D. What you want to do is you want to go to Open and go to where you've just saved your path and click it and open. So what you want to do is you want to keep it to 1 meter, not 10, 1 meter. So oh, I'm sorry. So 1 meter is that, but you don't want to connect splines, but you do want to group them. So now you can close it. Oh, sorry. I wanted to close that. So now you can close that. Nah, I'm sorry. Right, so this is how you get your 2. So you have your path 1 and your path 2. So what you can do is you can highlight these 2 by just dragging it, getting rid of them, and doing that. So what you want to do now is you want to make 2 hypernerbs depending on how many paths you have, and then you want to just drag your path under the hypernerbs, and you can see, sorry, extrude nerbs. Hypernerbs is a completely different thing. That's hypernerbs. So then what you want to do is you want to go and highlight both your extrude nerbs, and you can actually make it quite thick. So if you bump up your last one, you make it thicker. So if you want to make it nice, quite a nice even one like that, you want to escalate it to a lot, which is what I'm doing now. You want to put caps on it because caps look a lot better, but you don't want quite thick caps. So you want to be able to see them, but just. So if you want to see them, make sure you click that, and you can sort of see the idea of it. But because this thing's massive, you want to pop the caps to say, well, dependent until you can see them or not. So as you can see, mine's both 89, but you don't want any more steps, because that'll just completely, well, it won't wreck it. And you want to make sure this is linear, and you want to keep it on hull inwards, so then it just does it all inwards. And if you want, put it on quadrangles. So there you go, you have your nice text that is in Cinema 4D now. If you still want your little gap there, you can jump this down a bit, just so. But basically, the idea of this is to give it sort of like a nice little. Oh, did I do it on both of them? Yeah, I did actually. Did I? Yeah, I did. Is to give it like a. How can I say this? Sort of like a nice 3D effect. So what we're going to do now is we're going to jump into a material maker, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it the same colour, but all you do is you just go to the colour that you want. So it was like sort of like that colour, wasn't it? Yeah. And depending on whether you want it matte or not, I'm going to show you how to make it glossy. So if you want glossy, you want reflection. So then what you want to do is you want to go to Fresnel, and then put your mix strength to around like 50-48, and your blurriness to around the same. Brightness to around the same. So then you sort of get nice equal combination of that and that. So when you click on this, you can sort of see the idea. You see like a little reflection there and there. So to get the most out of this and make it look extra brilliant, you want to use a Lightroom, which basically what you do is you get a plane and make it mahoosive. So let's say 4000, because in our case it needs to be big. But where actually is it? Oh, there it is. Right, okay. So I think we might have to do this for about 8000, but you want it about the size. You want it around the same, a similar size to it. So what you want to do is you want to move it to around there, and then move it forward slightly. Then you want to copy paste it, and then move it this way. And then you want to copy paste it again, and move it that way. So now you sort of have your own lighting system essentially, when I get round to texturing it. So what you want to do now is you want to copy paste them three, and put it at the top. So if I zoom out now, you can see they're about the same width. And then what you want to do is you want to copy and paste it one more, and bring it outwards. And use your rotation tool to rotate it and face the object. So now what you want to do is you want to highlight all these, pop into a new material, and put your luminance up to that. And depending on how much you want it, 300 is probably the best. And then drag it to all the ones that you just highlighted. Oh no, okay. So what you want to do is you want to hold Control and drag them down. Continuously holding Control, and then what it does is it gives you this effect. So you can sort of see the idea of this. And then what you want to do is to bring out this effect is to go to Effect, Ambient Occlusion, and Effect Global Illumination. So for global illumination, you want your diffuse depth as 2, leaving the primary intensity and the second intensity as the same thing. Basically, diffuse depth is just how many times it bounces off the lens, the light. So it just sort of gives it more of a better quality. So now you want 1.8 as your gamma, just to make it look a bit brighter. And depending on how good your computer is, you can play about whether you want it low, medium and high, low, medium or high, and low, medium or heavy. So I'm just going to leave it at medium for the time being. And then once I click this, and once it's doing this, you want to... So you can sort of see the idea of it, and this is sort of like a professional look that many people like to get. You can also do this with one big one or one small one. But here, I'm actually going to reduce my brightness, because I think it's a bit too much, and it knocks your face clean off. So as you can probably see now, it's not as bright, yet it still gives you a nice, good emphasis on the text. So what you want to do now is you want to go and click your camera. So I would just leave it as normal lens. So when you go out, it's all nice and perfect. It's all nice and perfect. Because perfectness is brilliant. So right, what you want to do now is, because these bits are a bit too close, you can make them further away. But I think it is these that seem to annoy us. So to select more, just make sure you hold Control, and do the same with these bottom three. So you select them all, drag them down. So now when you move it inwards, you do get a more variation of how the text is presented. So there you go. So you see all that it's all perfect colour, and you see like the nice little rim around the edges and the highlightness. The highlighted part of it. If you want your text to be a bit lighter, just head into your global illumination, general, up your gamma to say, not that much, say about 3. So I'm trying to press up to say about 3, and then this should up the total luminance of your text. So now we wait. There you go. So it's a little bit brighter, brings more to the face, and you can see the highlights are nice and brilliant. So to export this, what you want to do is you want to go to 1920 by 1080. This is around the sort of the correct size for any perfect text. So you want it to leave it all as it is, and you want to put your anti-alias, I can't pronounce that, I'm sorry, to best, so then it's the best possible that you can get. So I'm just looking over this now. This looks good. You want to put your save to either, if you have Photoshop, TIFF, PSD, or if you do PNG. You also want to enable alpha channels. So then the background is basically alpha, so there's nothing there. So now what you want to do is you want to go to save and choose where you want to save it. So I'm just going to call it text. And then save. And then what you want to do is you want to press this little button up here, and it'll render to picture viewer. So basically this is just rendering it. It's a bit big, so let me just zoom out. So yeah, just let me stop it. Make sure this is your full frame, so your text and everything you want in there is the full frame. Sure you click it, and then it does it perfectly. So guys, this has been the end of our episode. It's quite long, but I hope you like it. Make sure you comment, rate? Can you even rate? Comment, give us a like if you want. Punch that like button in the face, and make sure you subscribe if you want to see more episodes. I also do Minecraft and things like that. So, and with my brother, who's annoying me at the moment. So, I hope you have a nice day, guys, and join for episode 3. Have a nice day. Again, bye.